Hi, I'm Carla Cross, and today we're going to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart and probably yours. Do you present? If you're an agent, do you present to buyers or sellers? If you're a manager, I'm sure you present to a meeting or a training. If you're a trainer, you certainly do present. So this basically covers everybody that I'm talking to. And these are the three almost fatal mistakes that anybody who presents basically can get into without knowing it. The first one is being so low key that you're almost not there. Now that usually happens when you're in front of just a few people, so you're trying to damp it down and all that. But the problem is you may be in a larger room. And if you're in a larger room, they can't even hear you in front. So if it sounds like this, you're in trouble. Hello, I'm Carla Cross, and today we're going to talk about a lot of things. Oh, please don't do that. You've got to project to the back of the room, and you have to use dynamics like I'm using. Soft and lows, pauses. Why? You got to keep their attention. They're going to drift off in a very few seconds otherwise. So listen to yourself, record yourself, and if you're too low key, especially if you're a staff person and you don't like being in front of people, you're in trouble. But that's easy to correct. Number two, oh, I love this one. And we're all guilty of this. Not defining our terms before we launch into an acronym or an abbreviation. When you do that, that makes distance between you and the person you're talking to and distrust. Also, they can't listen to you because they're trying to figure out what in the heck do you mean. Years ago, I was interviewing some guy, and I asked him how he was going to get leads should he go into the real estate business. And he said, well, I really don't know. And I handed him a sheet of paper that had several different ways of finding leads. And it had one called expireds. And he looks at me in all seriousness and says, you want me to call on dead people? Jeez. Okay, Carla, define your terms. So don't use terms like CRB, CRS, CRM, what in the, all those kind of, do not do them until you've used the whole name and then said the short version of it is CRB, and then define what it is, and then use an example if you need to. Please don't use the term, the acronyms or the shortened versions because you think it's kind of smart to do it. It's really dumb. So go back through whatever you're doing and define what it is first, and then say the short version and give an example. And the third, it's really simple, but we do it wrong all the time. We don't use visuals, or we use a PowerPoint presentation, a handout, and say that's the outline. It is not the outline. Oh, don't do that. It's not the outline. And besides, if you hand the whole thing out before you start, they got all the stuff, they don't need to listen. But create a handout, and I like to call it a handout, that defines your terms, gives an example, and especially if you're going to talk about lots of websites, put them in there so that people can go back and know what they are. Don't ask them to try to capture everything you're saying. So those are the three tips I have for you today. They're almost fatal, but they don't have to be, and they're very easy to correct. Not being so low-key, you can't hardly be heard. Define your terms before you use them, and use the visuals that support what you're trying to say, and use a handout which is not a PowerPoint presentation. So that's it. Join my YouTube channel to hear more trainer tips or anybody that presents all the time.